welcome back to Heart Key Creations. I'm Heather, the artist behind Heart Key Creations, and today we're going to do a painting using the Art Sherpa's brush sets that she put together for us. We have already done a cloud demonstration using the cloud brushes, so I will let you watch that video. I'll put a link up somewhere in here sometime. And she's already gone on and talked about her beginner's paint set, which came with a bunch of brights, all from the black and silver line from Silver Brush Limited. And she's also talked about her Explorer brush set, which came with another bunch of brights, but different brands, including the Ruby Satin line. And those are the brushes that I picked out of that set. And she's also talked about her detail set, which came with a bunch of little detail brushes that I'll only be using one of today. I think only one of, but we'll see. These are the 4 brushes that I picked out for today. It's a number 6 Ruby Satin Bright, a number 4 Black Pearl Bright, the number 2 Ruby Satin Bright, and then this really long detail brush to help me with some tree lines. So we've already done the clouds on this background, and I just went ahead and drew out a little chalk outline of a dragon and a floating world that we're going to paint out using these brushes today, and we'll see how we like them. So I'm going to come in and just start out with some, I don't know, what color do I want? I'm going to come in and start with some white and purple. Just going to mix those 2 colors together, my white and my purple, to get a light white, and it's diaxan. Oh my goodness, that purple that I cannot say. The diaxanine purple that I have. And we're going to paint out. I'm going to use quite a bit of white in there to get a very light shade of purple for the dragon. And I've got the number 2 Ruby Satin here that I'm going to use to outline, to do that dragon outline in. Now I picked something very simple so that everybody can do it. This is nothing fancy. I'm not probably going to be doing any fancy techniques in here with anything. So if you guys want to try and paint along with this, please feel free, because, well, it can be fun. You guys obviously don't need to have the same exact brushes. You know, it's nice to have the brushes, but if you don't, you use what you got until you get other ones. I'm going to stick with a pretty basic color palette for this to keep with the purple and red theme of the clouds and the sunsetty background. And now I'm just going to take some little bit of a darker purple to come up here, and we're going to give her kind of a plated head. And even more of just the plain purple, dioxazine purple, for her little horn. And I'm not too worried about the fact that I went into her snout a little bit there, because we can just paint over that again. And we're going to come down here for the horn on the bottom. And this brush is really probably too big for the tip of the horn to get it the way I wanted it. If you're really, really adept with the brush, with painting and the brushes, you probably can get that horn to be as pointed as you want to. And I'm just going to come in here with the purple and put in her eye again. And I don't know why, but for me, all dragons are girls. They're all girls, especially purple ones, I think. I'm not really sure why, but I just kind of like that idea. Fiery girls. Now I'm gonna wipe off this one. Well, rinse it off. And set it on its side so that it doesn't hold too much water. And I'm gonna go right back to my number 2. And I'm going back to the diaxanine purple, and I'm going to fix that horn so that it is the shape more of what I want. And because that purple is still really wet, I'm going to show you how we fix the lovely mistake that I made by using a brush that was too big. You're going to wet your brush again, just plain water, and you're going to remove that paint with the brush. Now I have a couple of buckets of water here. One is for rinsing and one is just for plain water, so that if I do anything that I don't want any color in, like this, I can just use that. And you can see you can pick up a ton of paint if it's not dry. Now that kind of gave her almost a spiky look. And I'm just going to take the towel and wipe off the extra wet spots and the extra paint. And I'm going to come back over to the water and go around the spots again to make sure that I get all of that off. And then I'm just going to come right back over to the purple and fill that horn in again. There. Now we have a horn and the outline of a dragon. Yep. All right. Now we'll come over and we'll do the outline of my floaty island and waterfall. I'm going to start with some brown for the bottom of the island. And you can see here, I can get a very, very nice sharp line from these sprites, the edge of the sprite. All right. Now I'm going to come over and take some bright green. I'm not rinsing off my brush, so there's still brown in there. And then I'm just going to come in and lay my groundwork, literally. So I'm going to take my number 2 bright from Ruby Satin and grab some Payne's Gray and come up and do my mountains. You can see I'm getting very sharp lines with this, and I've hardly loaded the brush at all. And it's going very far with the paint. Just going to take some very dark green and go in the back here to bring the grass and the mountain together. And that'll help shade that area. To give it a little bit of depth and look like it's actually looming over the landscape. I'm also going to take that green and go right up into the mountain a little bit. To make it look like there's some ledges, grassy areas on the mountain. Then I'm going to come over to my purple and bring out the edge of the one mountain so that it looks like it's actually in front of the other mountain a little bit better. And I'm going to throw in a little bit here and there too in the rest of the mountain so that it gives it some rocky looks, some dimension, especially right up here where that waterfall is going to come out of, so that it looks like one dark hole with the waterfall coming out. And now it's time for some water. Water. Just gonna start with a light blue for now to bring in some of the water effects. And I am absolutely loving the edge of this brush, how sharp it is, how it's just doing everything that I want it to do. Without a ton of work. I have a darker blue over here that I am going to blend in here a little bit. And we're going to pull it down through the waterfall. And then I'm going to take some white. These strokes here are like the finest stroke ever, barely touching the canvas at all. I want to bring some of that dark blue in down here. And I know that by doing what I'm doing currently, I'm going to have to go back over with the lighter blue and the white, but that's okay. And that's the beauty of acrylic paints, is that you can do that. You don't have to wait a week for anything to dry to be able to do that, and you know, it's just perfect. You can think one thing in your head and decide that that's not how it's not the best look for it, and change it up pretty quickly. Now, way in the back there, I want just a little pool of dark blue. And now we've got a waterfall. Gonna come in and take some of that Payne's Gray and mix it with my brown. And use my number 4 brush. And I'm gonna come in and add some depth to that ground that's just floating in the sky there. Wicked sharp lines here. I'm just taking the regular brown and going over and filling in the areas that I have only put it on pretty thinly. So you can still see the pink sky behind it. I'm going to leave some of that pink in there for highlights. But I didn't want to leave it all in there. And I'm going to come back over and with that dark green and just add a little bit here and there, grassy touches. I felt like that mountaintop was too round. It needed a little shape to it. Alright, so I wanted to give you a close-up view of the waterfall. And after I took a second and looked at it, from taking a step back and looking at it, the water here looks very turbulent compared to the water that's coming down. So I'm going to take this detail brush that I was actually going to use for the tree and come in with some white and put some very, very fine lines of white going into that turbulence. And as you can see there, I had too much white. So, easy enough to fix. Yes, it's easy enough to fix as I mess up more. Alright, I just came over and grabbed some water. Just a touch more water. I, myself, am not a huge detail brush person, in case you couldn't tell. I have difficulties with controlling them. Plus, my eyesight isn't actually the greatest for these fine little details. However, it really does make the job easier when you have the correct tools. So because I had gone in and had too much white on my brush and got those big dots on there, I pushed too hard on the brush instead of going back. Actually, I didn't have enough white on the brush, so I pushed too hard on the brush instead of going back and picking up more white. So now I'll go in with some of the blue again and fix it. So it gives it a more turbulent look all the way through with the white. And, you know, your waterfall should actually match the turbulence of the water. And the lighter that the water is, that suggests faster movement. Alright people, I switched out that detail brush for one of the bright detail brushes to do the tree in. I'm not big on the rounds for anything, honestly. I don't use a lot of rounds. So I am much more comfortable with the brights and what they do and how they do it. So I think that's where I'm going to stick. And we're just going to put in this teeny tiny tree here with these teeny tiny branches. We're not going to detail this tree too much. It's far away. You're not going to see the details. So, but again, using the right size tool for the job, always a big help. So I'm just going to come in with the lighter green that I have first. And it's got the brown mixed in there because I did not clean my brush. And we're just going to put in some leaves. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy, just so that they, you know, look like they're actually coming off of the branches that we put in. And it's mostly just using the edge of the bright and dabbing the paint on. And that's that. And we can go back in with some of the darker green so that it looks like there's some shadowy leaves in there. You don't have to, because like I said, it's a far away tree, so you certainly don't have to do a ton of detail in it at all. But sometimes even so, it's nice to give it the look of depth, even from far away. And I'm going to come in and mix some white with my light green to get an even lighter green. actually. And I'm going to take some Cad Red and mix it in there too. It's not enough Cad Red to make it be a brown color. It is enough Cad Red to give it a darker, a deeper shade though, and not make it the deep forest green. It makes it more of an olive green. And we'll just add some light little leaves in there too. A few up there at the top. Those would be the ones that catch the light most. So there you go. Now you have a tree too. So now here comes the fun part. What do we do with our dragon? Well, I think that her neck actually looks too skinny, too long. So I'm going to come in and fix that. We're going to make her neck a little bit thicker here. If you've never tried painting for the best angle for a video, let me tell you, it's an experience. It's like learning to paint all over again. Because normally I could just take this painting and put it down in my lamp or wherever I wanted it to get the best angle to do the best thing. But I can't really do that when I'm painting on camera. But I can flip it upside down and then paint. Yeah, now her neck looks better. And let's see. What shall we do? Let's give her some Cad Red lips. The dragon's lips should be red, right? I'm going to come over to my Payne's Gray here. Mix in that Cad Red that is still on my brush into that Payne's Gray. And come in like this to give her mouth some depth. Because her mouth is actually open. So now I'm going to actually take my little detail bright that I had and come in with my Diaxanine purple and put her nostril back in. There, just kind of a C shape. It's a nostril. It's a C-shaped nostril. Yay! And then I'm going to use my same detail brush to add some ridges here. I have a hard time not making everything look like feathers. So this may or may not work out the way I want it to. I would like it to look like little ridges. Kind of like this is a hard top here instead of some feathery pretty decoration. Like she could headbutt something and it's not going to hurt her. You know, maybe there's a little nest of little dragon wings on that island that she's protecting. And then I'm going to come back in here with my light purple and fix the shape of her eye somewhat, because I just kind of put that in very messily. And I'm still going to use this detail brush because really I'm putting in details now. So hopefully this will help me out. So we're just kind of putting in this little shadow for the ridge of her nose and down and around the horn area. And we're going to give her a chin. Or a jawline anyway. Not a chin so much. She has a chin. We're going to give her a jawline. Yeah. It's looking like a dragon. Sort of. A fantasy dragon. Not one of those really, really scary dragons. This is a fantasy world, not a scary world. It could be whatever we want it to be. And I want it to be a fantasy pretty world, not a scary world. I'm going to darken up her chin here. And try and blend out that color. That's a really pretty shade. It's going to dry a little bit darker than that, but it's a very pretty shade of purple. Just adding some shadow in underneath her neckline. And underneath her heavy ridge of armor that she has. I just mixed some blue and white for her eye. And again, I'm going to have to go upside down, I think, in order for me to be able to get her eye in. And move my palette in order to get close enough. Actually, I think that if I move my palette, I can get close enough. Okay. She just got that pretty jewel-toned blue eye. Okay, so now I have literally boxed myself into my workspace to be able to finish this dragon because, well, I couldn't have my palette where I had it and be able to reach the dragon for all the details that need to be done on the dragon. So I had to move things around. So we're going to finish this dragon. Kind of working blind there, people, because I'm in my own shadow. If I put the light on the other side, though, for some reason, the colors and everything get totally messed up. So I just came in and added a little of the Cad Red Medium to the Diaxanine Purple. And we're going to give our dragon some fur. It's not going to be a scaly dragon. She's a furry dragon with some thick, thick skin. Because, you know, I think she's a mama dragon. I think that's why she's headed over to that island. She needs to be able to protect her babies. I'm not painting out every single fur detail. I am using the edge of the brush to give it the detail though. And I'm just kind of brushing in some furry details. And we're going to bring some of that color up into her face. We're going to give her some eyeliner. And again, I'm kind of working in my own shadow here. So I'm not totally sure what I'm getting. Going very, very lightly with this brush to add teeny tiny little fur strokes. Now I'm pressing a little bit harder again. These are the longer fur on her neck. All right, let's work on those ridges a little bit. We're gonna take some Payne's Gray and mix it with the purple and create some shadows. I have to tell you that I am really liking the feel of this #2 black and pearl in my hand and what it's doing on the canvas. I really like it. And I don't know why I keep saying canvas because it's a gesso board. Now I'm going to take some light purple. It's just the white mixed with the purple. And I'm really trying hard not to work in my own shadow here. Adding some highlights. And I'm going to come in and get some of that cad red that I mixed with the diaxanine purple. And yeah, I still can't say it correctly. But gosh, it's a pretty color. And I'm going to take what paint is on my brush and mix that with some white. A lot of white. And yes, I still use my finger to smudge and blend out a little bit because sometimes your finger is the best tool that you have. We're going to leave that alone for a second while I've got this color on here. And we're going to give her horn some highlight. And a little bit of highlight in her eye, I think. But again, I'm working in my own shadow. I'm taking that cad red purple mix and mixed with whatever white was on my brush there. And I don't really like that, so I'm going over it. And I'm coming into my Payne's Gray and mixing that with whatever's on my paint brush currently. Taking quite a bit of the Payne's Gray compared to what's on the brush though, because I really want to darken that up. Remember what I said in the beginning about how I didn't want this to look like feathers, but that I have this problem with everything that I do like that. It turns out looking like feathers. Well, I think that's what I've done again. It's kind of feathery looking. It doesn't look like a hard hat. Or, yeah, helmet. At least not to me. But sometimes you just do what your hand tells you to do and you pull it together. And that's what you gotta do. Going back to the detail brush in the bright, and we're going to come back to her horn and give it a very bright highlight of white at the top. And blend that out a little bit. And again, I like to blend with my fingers. Now, I'm going to try this super fine detail brush that she included in her Explorer set. It is the Ultra Mini, Silver Ultra Mini. So we're going to try that, and I'm going to try to put just a dot of Cad Red in her eye for her pupil. Well, it worked. I added a dot of Cad Red in her eye for her pupil. But I get fussy, and I got a dot somewhere else too. I'm going to take some mixing white and just, instead of those white highlights that I had in there, I'm going to take some mixing white actually and add that in there for the highlight on her eye, the reflection in her eye. Alright, I guess that's the best that I'm going to get for camera focus at the moment. So I just took some Cad Red Medium and mixed it with the raw umber. And I think I have a color that's very similar to the one that's on the tongue already. I'm hoping to be able to stay out of the way of the camera here, but we're just going to add some details into the tongue so that it doesn't, look so flat and boring. So it pops a little bit. And I'm going to add a little bit more red into that mixture. Again, I've said this before. I'm not really sure why they call Cad Red Medium red at all, because in my opinion, it's kind of orange. If I take white with Cad Red Medium and mix it in, I am not going to get a pretty pink. So, it's orange. Why is it called Cad Red Medium? Anybody know? I just took some of the purple and mixed it in with that also. This detail brush is pretty awesome. I know I've said that before, but I'm just really impressed with how easy it actually is to use, because, like I said, I am not a detail brush person. I actually kind of hate them. but it actually seems to be doing what I want it to do at this moment. Maybe that's the quality of the brush. Thank you very much, Cinnamon Cooney, the Art Sherpa. That line was just some of that cad red mixed with that purple again. And I'm just going to take some of that Payne's Gray, and where I played outside of the lines here, I'm going to fix that. I'm getting fiddly because we're down to the last little bit of details here, so I'm going to have to remind myself pretty soon that, you know, perfect is actually not perfect all the time. And sometimes we need to know when to leave it alone, when we did good, and that's that. All right, so this has been a demonstration with the art brushes from the beginner set, the explorer set, and the detail set that Cinnamon Cooney handpicked for her fans. If you liked my demonstration, please like the video, share it, and subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you can know when I come out with these things. There will be more of these demonstrations and reviews coming soon. I still have the Galaxy set to do and the portrait set to do for you. And if they're anything, if they can make me as happy as these make me, then there shouldn't be any issues with them at all. I can't say that there would be any issues with them at all anyway. Cinnamon picked them out. I mean, come on. They're perfect. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I'll see you next time.